What's up, guys? Welcome back to our /AskReddit, where people share the fatal mistakes they make in their jobs. In 2008, I spent $400 plus on catering for an all-day meeting that included lunch for 12 people at my new investment bank job, about $33 a person. The food arrived and the office manager asked me what meeting the food was for because it was not logged in our meeting setup system. I realized that the meeting was the next day and that I had tons of food for nobody, so I asked her to bring all the food and put it under my desk. She looked at me sideways and did it. I had just come from a federal government background where this kind of expenditure was exorbitant and it would have been a problem. I looked at the food and thought about it for about 20 minutes. What to do? I finally decided to go to my boss and tell him what I had done. "You have the food under your desk," he said. "Yes," I replied. I expected a word of hurt. "Show me," he said, and he walked over to my desk, looked, and laughed. "Put it in the kitchen and send an email to everyone in the company to come and help themselves. Reorder it for tomorrow," he said. He chuckled and walked away.
That's a relief.
I'm really glad to hear that Plus Implement's boss took it well and even had a laugh about it instead of getting mad. A lot of places might not have been so understanding, especially with such a pricey order. Good on Plus Implement for being upfront and taking responsibility right away. It seems like their boss really valued their honesty and quick thinking. I accidentally deleted an entire project folder right before a big presentation. Spent the next 12 hours frantically trying to recover it. Learned to double-check everything after that. Whoa, hold on. You deleted the entire project folder right before a big presentation? And spending the next 12 hours trying to recover it must have been so crazy. It's good to hear Dirty Thought SSX learned their lesson, even if it was the hard way. Pushed a bug that caused our sales software to silently fail to process credit cards, while reporting that it had properly processed the credit card, on Black Friday.
Oops!
Oh man, that's rough. Introducing a bug that makes credit card processing fail, but still reports it as successful, and on Black Friday? That's just asking for chaos. Hope Flaky Biscuit is holding up okay. Allowed a contractor to pour a slab on a huge building before the plumbing was in the ground. $200,000. Whoops, that's a big mistake. $200,000 is no small amount of money. Geez. Deleted the entire warehouse inventory database. Didn't know how to get back up. Thank God for nice IT folks. I did something similar. Pulled a Bobby tables while scheduling distributed jobs and wiped not one, not two, but every production database we had. Hundreds of millions of rows lost in mere hours. Mentally broke down for a while, but my team spent the next week helping me get backups online. Bless them and the database admins. Man, the panic of realizing what happened must have been freaking overwhelming, I imagine. Such a relief, though, that the IT team was there to save the day. Sometimes it's these unsung heroes who truly make all the difference in a crisis. I cooked $10,000 of PA speakers after I let a hip-hop artist's audio engineer run the system too loudly for an entire show. When my bosses told me it was $10,000, I thought they were exaggerating. But months later, I broke my ankle and was put on desk duty. I had access to the accounting software and found the repair bill for those speakers. Legit $10,000. I was honest and upfront about what I had done, and they respected that, so I didn't get fired.
You have been a good boy. Have a lollipop.
Isn't it amazing how much being honest can change things? Owning up to a big mistake takes real courage, but it sounds like 8-Ohm's bosses really respected them for it. That's good, though. Not many bosses are like that nowadays. I funded a $250,000 loan, not realizing one of the documents was signed incorrectly. My mom in the 70s processed a $100,000 loan, but didn't put a 7-day hold on it to verify everything. Someone cashed it out, and then it failed the verification steps. She didn't get fired. Whoa, that's shit rough bumbling ghoul. I can't believe you had to deal with a $250,000 loan and then find out a document was signed wrong. That must feel like such a huge kick in the gut. And for GF Anon, damn, your mom processed a $100,000 loan without the usual 7-day hold, and someone tried to cash it out, but luckily it failed the verification process. That's crazy luck she got there. When I was in the Air Force, a brand new recruit sent an email to the entire base that he thought was just going to his friend. This was back in '98, so we were all just figuring this whole email thing out. The email started out, and I'll never forget this, verbatim. "Hey, what's up, baby penis head?" Man, having everyone see a message like, "Hey, what's up, baby penis head," is something you'll not forget in your lifetime. I used a picture of George W. Bush with his face rotted half off as a sample image for some HTML work I was doing in 2006. The developers were supposed to replace it with the real image, but they just put an image from the database in front of it, and the Bush image was still there in the CSS styles as a background image instead. It was fine for quite a while, and nobody noticed it until the database server went down, and the whole front page of the website was wall-to-wall pictures of the president looking, according to my boss, like his face had been blasted with a shotgun. Higher-ups at the company called for me to be fired, but luckily folks on my team protected me. I was working my first real job out of college as a website developer. I can't believe it went unnoticed for so long. Major props to Ed Ducker's team for having their back through that mess. Sounds like one hell of a first job experience.
That is true.
It wasn't a fuck-up per se, but when I worked at McDonald's nearly 20 years ago, some customer in the drive-thru threw a chocolate shake at me, yelling that he'd ordered strawberry. I instinctively caught it and threw it back, hitting him in the face and getting chocolate shake all over the interior of his BMW. If my GM wasn't standing damn near right next to me as it happened, I probably would have been fired. That customer was definitely an asshole. Throwing a shake at someone over a simple mix-up is just out of line. And to make things worse, they probably thought their BMW was a sacred place too. It's kind of poetic justice that Flirty Fairies threw the shake right back at them, making them deal with the mess they created. Sometimes some people just need a reality check. Charged someone $2,000 while attempting to refund them a much smaller amount, I want to say like $400. Manager was out of town for a holiday weekend and the error could not be fixed for like 4 days. Dealing with such a big mistake while the manager is on vacation and having the issue drag on for days must have been so dang intense. I can't imagine the pressure Dismal Tree was under. I worked at a movie theater as a projectionist in the early 2000s and we had to pre-screen everything before it was shown to the public the next day. We were supposed to stay in the projection booth to monitor the reel. It was real film back then, but we'd often just go into the theater itself to preview them. Halfway through The Hulk, the only one, the film got caught in the projector and destroyed about 20 minutes worth of the movie. Each reel of the movie was worth $150,000. Edit. Maybe not. I was 16. That's what my manager said. Needless to say, it was a bad time. $150,000 per reel? That sounds like a bit of an exaggeration. Even if it wasn't that much, it's wild to think about the value and pressure involved. Arcane Psyche surely got a pretty unforgettable story from that experience. I was cold calling at a bank for home equity loans. I suggested to the wife that she could pay off the $10,000 balance on their credit card at a much lower rate, saving a lot of money and possibly get a tax deduction. I had no idea she wasn't on the credit card and had no idea that the husband was hiding it from her. The husband left me a very nice voicemail.
Oops, my bad.
That's hilarious. The bathroom incident accidentally turned a routine call into a total drama plot twist. Can you just imagine the husband's panic when his secret credit card got exposed? That voicemail must have been something else. The application service provider I used to work for called me in very early one morning. Customers were reporting a total service outage and the temperature was through the roof. The pager kept going off. We have to discount for downtime. 15 minutes later, I called the CTO, waking him up. I said, "By chance have you failed to renew our DNS registration?" It was the loudest scream I ever heard. It was peanuts compared to the intercontinental cluster for our CrowdStrike kicked off. Oh man, what a wild ride. Imagine being called in early, half asleep, and then finding out the whole service is down because someone forgot to renew the DNS registration. It's like realizing you forgot to pay your internet bill and now the whole neighborhood is without Wi-Fi. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
Things just went from worse to worse.
I can just picture Phil McCracken dialing the CTO and asking that dreaded question, "Did you remember to renew the DNS?" And then hearing a scream so loud it could wake the dead. I bet Phil McCracken was thinking, well, at least someone's awake now. I, following orders, documented orders, replaced a switch in a data center with a replacement, which they said to use by serial, which promptly took about 2 million users offline for a couple of hours before they figured it out. The network graphs were amazing. I never heard from that admin again. I can just picture Sub-Zero seeing those network graphs looking like a hard monitor in a horror flick, steady, then suddenly, a dramatic spike. I used to work at a hotel, was there over 15 years. I'll never forget my first day though, my first checkout. I remember it well. The gentleman's total was $800. I ran his card for $8,000. So the first thing I learned to do there wasn't a checkout. It was how to do a refund. A refund of $7,200. I'm sure with processing fees that cost my company a pretty penny. I actually wasn't sure I was going to make it at the beginning, but I actually lasted over 15 years. But my first mistake I never forgot. Not a great way to start your job. Messing up a huge charge on your first day must have been incredibly stressful. It's amazing that ILCUC 80 didn't let that mistake hold them back. Instead, they learned from it and ended up working there for 15 years. Their ability to bounce back and succeed after such a rough start is really impressive. What a great achievement.